Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to the series of Python Foundations. In this section of the video, we will start hands-on coding in Python. Let's straight jump into my Jupyter notebook and let's start coding. First of all, to begin with coding in Jupyter notebook, I have used VS Code, Visual Studio Code. I have guided how to install Visual Studio Code, how to install Python in my previous video, that is Python Foundation Section 1. If you have not already watched, I would highly recommend watching that because I have explained the foundations on how to install Python, how to get the environment set up, how to get the platform set up to start coding. Without any further delay, I would like to begin coding here, and I would like to write a first line of code that is very popular, which is print hello world. So this is print hello world, which is very popular and very first line of code that everybody would begin writing with. In this print statement, you can see there are few things. What is print in Python? Print is a function that prints the value that you ask Python to print. That being said, by calling print, you can get the whatever value you want to print. The Python will print the value for you. For example, you want to say how are you in the separate print statement, and you can keep printing as many print statement as you want. How is the weather, etc. So these are three different print statements. So print statement begins with all lowercase print, and then you have to have a open parentheses here that has to be closed at the end of the print statement. And also you have to make sure that there is no space. Probably space is just fine, but all you have to make sure that there is no uppercase here. If you do uppercase for the print p capital, it will throw an error. Print is not defined because Python is very much case sensitive, so you cannot have the uppercase for the characters in the function that is defined as lowercase. The values can be of any case, uppercase, lowercase, but whenever you have a function that you are using, that function should follow the case in which the function is defined. Now here are the basic components in summary of Python print statement. So first, we print all lowercase, and you have to begin with open parentheses. You have to begin with a code for the text. I will explain how about number, how about any other data format. Let's first understand the basics on the text side of it, so it's going to be easy for us to understand. And you have to, after you complete the text that you want to print, then you have to close the codes with the same type of code. If you begin with a single code, you have to end with the single code, otherwise it will throw an error. So here this is single code, there is no error. Here double code and starting and ending, no error. But if you change that to be different one, then it will throw an error. You must close the print statement with closing parentheses as well, otherwise it will throw an error. So if you run just like that, it will throw an error because it says in the statement that open parentheses was never closed. There was never a closing parentheses. So you have to keep few things in mind. Print statement is one of the most used function in Python, and you have to understand those basic things. It's not super complicated, but it's super easy and much more valuable to understand. Now you can see there are three print statement here. So first print statement is hello world, second is how are you, and third is how is the weather. How about combining them all together and making it one statement? Let's copy those here, go to the next cell over here. Let's make them one statement over here. So to make it one statement, and you want to print all of those in the same way, so what you can do here is add it here and then say backslash n, and then also remove that closing statements, remove the parentheses, everything all on that next statement, and then put backslash n. And this will make this print statement to be just one single print statement, and this will be still exactly same how you print it. So what I just did, I removed all of those closing statements, I removed the closing codes, and then also open codes on the second and third print statement. I just copy used these text that I want to use within single box. All I did was I added a backslash n. Backslash n would be more of a new line. So after the backslash and whatever the text you are using, it's going to print in the new line. That's the idea behind using backslash n. So we accomplish the same output as above at the first print statement by simply adding the backslash n at the end of the first print statement and beginning of the second print statement, and that printed all the output in the new line. That's what this backslash n means. So it is really helpful, really useful when you want to format the print statement into multiple lines and you want to make it more understandable and more usable. Next thing in the print statement is about making or printing multiple print statement in the same print function. So what I mean by that, let's say print, we are learning Python. This is for data science. We will learn data science in depth, etc. So I have three different print statement all together, and what I want to do is I want to print this statement. Here you can see that there are three print statement. One print statement, we have begin with print, open parentheses, open quote, and we have closed a quote and at the end of the first statement. But when we have to begin the second statement, all we have done is we have added a comma and the space before a second print statement. You don't need to necessarily add a space, that will still work exactly in the same way we had a space. However, this is much better way of organizing our code. So here, this is the first print statement, and here this is the second print statement, this is third print statement. Now, while printing, here it prints as one single statement. You can always add a full stop here because this is the completion of the first statement, completion of the second statement, completion of the third statement. So this will look much nicer. How about now? How about adding some more content? For example, in the next print statement, I want to print some numbers. Let's say this year, so we have to begin with single or double quote. This year is, and I'm saying number 2025. And now I'm adding another statement. This month is, so the month that I'm recording this video is August of 2025. So August, and here I want to print this specific statement. I want to keep both the lines here. You can see that there are many different ways of printing the values. So first is this statement and the second statement. So why I do not have codes here and I'm not still getting any error? Numbers, so numbers do not need codes, so they can be printed as they are. Numbers can be decimal, with decimal, and those are called floating point numbers, or entire whole numbers. Those are called integers in Python. I will be explaining what are the floating point numbers, what are integers, but all you need to know for now is numbers do not need code. Well, you can always add codes here and still print the same value without making any difference. However, this number is now no more number. This is simply a text. And if you want to print this as a text, you can always print with the quotes. But if you want to print this, consider this as a number, then you do not need to add quote, and you can print this without any issues. So what is the advantage of having number and not adding quote here? For example, I want to add another print statement, a new line of code. I want to say print the summation of 2 and 5 is, I want to say, 2 plus sign with 5. If you print that statement, it will give you 7. Look at the result here. So result 2 plus 5, the Python has worked as a calculator here. So in the first print statement, we have said the summation of 2 and 5 is, and we have added 2 plus 5 here. It is not printing as a 2 plus 5 as a text. It is printing as the summation of 2 plus 5. How about if I add quotes here and then do the print statement? It will just print as it is. That is the advantage of not having quotes between 2 and 5 with the numbers. However, you can also say 2 plus 5 to make it more understandable, and this will still consider. Look at here. So we have 2 plus 5 here as well, but here as well it is printing 2 and then symbol 5 as it is here, because it is within the code and this will be considered as a text. Here we have not added code and it is considering as the mathematical operation, and that is the power of using code here to print as it is. And this is a way of not using code here to make it as a mathematical operation. You can do many mathematical operations like multiplication, division, subtraction, etc. Python is really powerful at doing that. Now this is some sort of example of how you can use multiple print statement all together and get the job done that you want to accomplish here. The next thing I want to show you in Python is how you can separate individual print statement by different symbols, not only spaces. What I mean by that, let's look at it here. If I do print hello, I want to say print different statement world, how are you, and I'm saying doing here, right? And I want to add multiple things in different print statements within same print function. If I would do that, it will just print as one single print statement, and that has been, look at this here. So between each of the word there is a space here. You can define how you want it to be separated, or maybe you do not want to separate any of those and you want to make it a single word. For example, to accomplish that, if I say sep, which means separator, and if you add a quotes, double quote or single quote, that means there is nothing in between single or double quotes. If I would run that, look at this here. All of those are joined together along with the question mark at the end. Now you want to separate those by space. Let's say for now, and now they are as they are in the here separately, and they are separated by space. But how about you want to separate each word by space but not the question mark here? You want the question mark to be with the last word, that is doing. So what you can do to overcome that issue is add space at the end of the each words, add space here at the end of the each word but not after doing, and then remove that separator to be space from the separator. Now look at this, what's gonna happen now. Isn't it perfect way of printing the value that as you want it to be? Yes, exactly. So this is how you can get those values separated by space, since you have the spaces after each individual words. And I will show you more efficient way as well, but sometime we want this to be the format of our output. Now you can also make it to be separated by dash or hash or stars, whatever that is, right? So if you want to remove those spaces from each individual words over here, from each individual words, just keep it as the single word, and you want those to be separated by dashes, you can always do that. You can add multiple of those. You can also do that, multiple dashes, multiple stars, whatever the symbol you want. And you want multiple spaces, not only single space but multiple spaces. You want it to be further away. You can format this in the way that you want to, but the most efficient way that to make it more acceptable, more understandable, is adding spaces after each print statement, and then not adding any space here after doing, to keep the question mark together with the doing. And now this is the perfect formatting. You can always say hello world, and you can add a comma after that, and you want to say how are you doing, and this will say the comma here. And you may want to add hello, and you can say exclamation mark and the space. You can do that as well, hello world, how are you doing, right? So you can format print statement very efficiently in the way that you want to organize the text, in the way that you want to format the text. And you can also say here, so this year is, so you can say number 2025 and so on. So you can say the add space over here, you can add space over here in whichever direction you want to. So now look at this, how beautifully this has been organized. This has been, so you may want to add a full stop as well at the end. So you can say this year is 2025, and you have entered the print statement. So this all complicated calculations or complicated sentences or values you can put in one single print statement, you can put in multiple print statement. So you may want to probably put this year is in the new line as well. So you can do that into the separate print statement as well, this year is. So you can end that and say 2025, and you can add, you can do that as well, and you want to add a full stop there, and you can print that statement. And the full stop here is after the space, so you may want to not add space after the full stop. So you can say separator, no space there, single quote or double quote, and you may want to add a space, whatever you need. And now this is very well formatted. You can do the multi-line printing more dynamic way, other than what I have just showed you here, two print statement or having a backward slash n to make it new line, etc. There is much better way. Let's understand that as well. You can always say print, and then instead of just one quote, if you add three quote on starting and ending. Look at this here. So I have a three double quote. You can always make three single quote as well. And in this, in between three single quote or three double quote, you can write multiple lines. So let's say this is Python tutorial, and you can you can do enter there. You can say we are learning Python for data science and machine learning, and we can say this is the foundation of Python, and so on. You can keep adding the sentences as you want. If you print this result, look at this here. This has been printed in such a way that you have defined over here. So here, this is Python tutorial. You can see we is slightly indented. Why? Because maybe this is slightly in the new line and this has been printed differently. You can do that by doing this, and this will be printed all together. And you can have this much more cleaner way. So have three single or double quotes here, and then have a new line. And here you can end with the three quotes, three single or double quote in the new line, and this will still work as you expect it to work. Here you can keep adding as many as possible, and you can keep entering different values. So only one thing you cannot do in this one is mathematical computation. I will show you still how you can accomplish that as well. The mathematical computation, if you have to say this year is 2025, that still comes under the three codes, opening and closing codes. So this 2025 will be still considered as a text, not as a number. But what you can accomplish in this one over here is how you can get the multi-line coding without having to use /n, or without having to use the multiple print statement unless you have to. So this is another dynamic way of printing the multiple line of code without so much having to break, open, close, and space. All of these things do not have to be there. You can do that in one single print statement and into the as many line as possible. You can format it a different way as you want, and this will be formatted excellent way, and then you can just make it more readable and more understandable. In between coding, you might have seen I have added some text over here that are different color than what you have seen here, some sort of yellowish color or golden color here. That is the text within the print statement, and we have the numbers over here. But how about this part of the text? Why it is not printing over here? Why this value is not printed over here? This in the Python with the hash, which is called the comments in Python. Comments in Python. So what exactly is the comment in Python? Let's say I'm saying here print hello world. And what I want to do here is this print statement is the first couple of words that people write while beginning to write code. If I run that, you can see that it only prints the values which is within the print statement. The reason behind is because comment is not considered as a printable value, and that is more of to explain what this line of code is doing, what exactly we are trying to accomplish while writing this code. Comment is single line text that helps you to understand what exactly this code does. If you have to further elaborate this comment, you can always continue writing here. This is the demonstration of how easy it is to write code in Python, right? So this way you can keep writing, but when you have to go in next line and start writing comment, for example, if you want to go and write into the next line, you have to say, I loved writing the print statement using hello world. Why it is not being considered as a comment? Because the commenting with the hash works only on the single line. If you want to write the next line of comment, you always have to add hash in the beginning, and you have to write that again and as if the new comment there. So these comments work on a single line, whatever hash is in the beginning of the comment. So comment can be at any position here. So whenever you add hash, that the rest of the statement here in this code will be considered as a comment. If you add hash in the beginning of the print everything will be commented and nothing will be printed. So you want to make sure that you are not commenting a code, but you're putting a hash in the right location, not in the beginning of the code that you want the code to be executed. So this comment will be executed but will not be printed with the print statement. If you want to have the multi-line comment, which we have already learned how to accomplish here, you need to add a three quotes in the starting and ending of the statement. So for example, you have to add three individual single or double quote, and you can start writing, this is the Python tutorial and I am learning Python. I am getting better on coding, etc. You can always do that using the, it's called docstring or document string. When you have a three quotes in the beginning and three quotes at the ending, you can do single quote or double quote. These are the few ways of adding comments here and then making the code more understandable and more readable. One thing about docstring is it will not give error whatever you add on in between those three single quote or double quote, but when you try to print those, these values will be still printed. The comments will not be printed and the document string will still be printed, and they are over here. You can see that in the beginning we have a new line, so it added the backslash n, and then at the end of the tutorial we have a new line, so it added a new backslash n over here. So this is again helping you to understand what is going on from the coding side of it. This is much more efficient way of organizing your code and making the code much more readable. We have almost covered everything that comes with the print statement. There will be few things that is assigned with different okay, so how would I want to say, we have covered a lot about print statement, different ways of printing and printing multiple lines of code using backslash n, using the multi-line commenting, using the three single and or double quotes opening and closing, etc. Now we will be diving into the next section of Python coding, which is variables in Python, and we will be seeing how does variables in Python help us to store the values that we want to print using those variables, and how we can make the print statements even more dynamic. So we will be now covering variables and print statements together, making Python coding more dynamic. Let's straight jump into the next part of the video. In part 3 of Python Foundations, I will be explaining what is variables and how you can make your print statement even more powerful using variables in Python. Let's straight jump into that video and let's start learning about the variables in Python.